Okay, let's look at the next problem. We will again take up one of our previous, maybe one of the first um, programs. Accept the lengths of the three sides of a triangle. Verify that the segments of lengths given actually are capable of forming a triangle. Evaluate the area of the triangle. Now, what we have to do is provide a Windows UI, user interface. Okay, in our previous session, we have already looked at an example of this. So, which means we know that we have to import tkinter, right? So let's import it as tk. Now what? Let's first take care of this. Main is not required. So let's all push it back. Instead of main, we will have main loop, right? Of course, not just main loop, we have to provide window.main loop now, which means we have to create a window. So let's create a window. What would that window be? Let's name it as triangle window is equal to tk dot capital TK. Okay. So this creates a window. Now to this window, we want to provide a title. So that would be area of that triangle. Now we want to size it. So dot geometry, and that would be, let's say, 300 by 400. So now that we have a window, we can say triangle window dot main loop. Now we have to take care of this. We have to display this message, and then we have to provide an entry field. So let's do that. Label 1 is equal to tk dot label triangle window, and the text would be side 1 length. Let's keep it simple, which means we also require for label 2 and label 3, side 2, side 3. So 2 3, and this would be side 2, side 3. Now the entry fields. So let's say S1 is equal to tk dot entry in the triangle window. Yes, and let's keep it simple and just leave it at that. Now another one we require. So this would be S2, S3. Okay. Anything else that we need to take care of? As of now, no. So that means we can remove these three lines. Now this should actually be separate, because when we click on say submit button, that means we require some buttons. So let's create those buttons. So what would the buttons be? Let's say bt1 is equal to tk dot button. Okay, as part of what? As part of the triangle window. Text would be what? Text would be submit. Yes, and when this is clicked, what should happen? Command is equal to calc, let's say, area. This will be called. Now it is underlined red because it has not been defined. So let's define this. Def calc area. So now that underline is gone. Now here what should happen? We will do that later. Now let's proceed with this. BT2 is equal to tk dot button. Again triangle window comma text is equal to, let's say, reset. Command is equal to reset. Again underline red. So let's define reset. Okay, let's not bother with these red underlines, these small ones. As we keep filling it up, it might disappear. Okay, the third button would be tk dot button triangle window text is equal to exit. and command is equal to stop, let's say. So again, stop is not, let's not have capital S, stop. So which means for that also we require a function, stop. Now, what else do we require? Remember, we have not packed anything. So we have to pack these. So let's do packing together. So lbl1 dot pack. Let's see what happens. lbl2 dot pack, lbl3 dot pack, and now we will say s1 dot pack, s2 dot pack, s3 dot pack, right? And then here we will say bt1 dot pack, bt2 dot pack, bt3 dot pack. If you are curious, you could always run it and see, but these functions have not yet been provided. So let's take care of that, those functions. So calculate area, that we have to take care. Let's take the simpler ones first. So stop triangle window dot destroy. Just for consistency, I'm putting that written. Now, when it is reset, what should happen? When we reset, when the user clicks on the reset button, s1 dot delete. So its contents will be deleted, and we have to specify from where to where, because if it is multiple digits or characters, from where to where should it delete? So 0 to the end, and same thing should be for S2 and S3. Yes, okay, return. So reset we have taken care of. Now what about calc area? Calc area again we will. Okay, now we have reached. This is the last one we have to. Okay, so calc area. Now what do we have? We have S1. What is the data type of this going to be? It is going to be a string, right? This will be a string, this will be S1, S2, S3 are strings. Now, when the user clicks on the submit button, they should not be empty, right? So the first thing we do is we check if S1 dot get, that we get the contents of the entry field, is not equal to empty, or S2 dot get is not equal to empty, or S3 dot get is not equal to empty, then is where the actual functionality should happen. So now first thing we will do is we will say side1 is equal to, we will convert that string into float. So s1 dot get, side2 is equal to float s2 dot get, and side3 is equal to float s3 dot get. And now we already have a function, remember, to figure out, see, is it a valid triangle or not? Or do these sides make a proper triangle or not? So we can call that function itself. And what is that function? It is is triangle, and it is there in my functions. So let's copy this. I'll cut it and I'll paste it here. Is valid, comma, error message is equal to, and here instead of S1, S2, we have to say side 1, side 2, and side 3. Okay. Now, it will return two values, is valid and error message. If, no, not, if valid, is valid, then area is equal to, now we call the function to calculate the, we already have that function in my functions. So we can call that this one. So where is that? We can call this. But here again, we have to say side 1, side 2, and side 3. We have to display messages, right? So how do we display this message? As label itself, we can do that. we can do is we can from tkinter import a message box, and here we can display the message. Okay, now that we have imported the message box, we can use that itself. So we can say tk.messageBox.showInfo. The first parameter for this show info is the title success. And then we have to show the message that we want to display. Valid triangle \n to go to the next line. The area of the triangle is, and we say plus area. Now the only issue is area is a float and we are trying to concatenate it with a string. So let's convert it into a string. Instead of doing it in the message box statement itself, let's do it here. So string of this. But remember, a float may have end up with many decimal points. So let's round it off to two decimal places. Okay. So here again we require one spacing. Now, if it is not valid, else, then tk.messageBox.showError failed is the title. And the message is error message. That is returned by the function. And finally, return. Here also one extra spacing. So have we taken care of everything? Now let's run this and see what happens. So we have, let's say 3, 4, and 5. Submit. Valid triangle, the area of the triangle is 6. Actually, we should also mention the there itself we are doing it, so we might as well say plus within quotes square units. That would be much more appropriate. So 3, 4, 5, submit 6 square units. Now if I change this to 9 and say submit, the sum of any two sides cannot be more than the third side. Now if I say reset, what happens? All the three values disappear. Now I can start from scratch and exit will take me out. Okay, now let's again run this and let me type some characters, right? Let me say 3, 4 and I say submit. Now this gives me an error. So that means it should allow only numeric entries, right? So what do? I have to take care of it in these entry fields. So entry fields, I need to provide validations. So I have to say triangle window tk dot entry in the triangle window. Then what? Validate is equal to key presses, has to be validated. And what is the validate command? Validate command would be equal to triangle window dot register. So we are, registering with this entry field is registering with the window saying ki whenever a key is pressed, you call this function. So register, validate, and %p has to be passed as a parameter. Okay, now validate function we have not defined. Let's define the validate function and then we will see. So def validate. Now this we had already done in the previous session. So this will take a parameter and let us say let's call this as key press, right? And if key press dot is digit, That means it should be numbers. Then in that case, return true. That means it will be accepted. Else if key press is equal to, because remember while resetting we are deleting it, so it will be empty. So for that reason we need to allow that as well. So return true, else return false. Now let's come here and see. Okay, now here there is some problem. What is the problem here? Okay, comma. Okay, here it should be comma. Should it be comma? Yes. Here, yes. Now the same thing has to be done for the other two also. So S2. So let's make this as S2 and let's delete this. Same way, S3. Let's copy this, make it S3 and delete. Now let's run this. And if I type any characters, it will not accept. 3, 4, 5. Submit. Great. Reset. Great. And what else? Exit. Okay, when we run this, these buttons are one below the other. Now, if you want it side by side, what do we do? So what we can do is we can pass parameters to this pack button one dot pack, and we can say side is equal to tk dot left, not left, left, and we can provide a padding pad x equal to 15, and we can repeat that for this as well. And now if we run it, these buttons are together, one beside the other. But if I resize this, see what happens. It remains there. Along with this should also get centered. So what do we do for that? Easiest way to take care of it is to define a frame. So let's say frame 1, or let's say FR1. FR1 is equal to tk dot frame, where in the triangle window. So we have created a frame FR1 dot pack expand is equal to true. And now instead of creating these buttons in the window, we created in the frame. Remember, the frame is inside the triangle window. So no issues. FR1. And now let's run this and see what happens. And now let me see that also gets centered. Now another thing is this exit button is very small, reset button and submit. They are uneven. We want them to be even. So what do we do for that? So I'll say submit text equal to submit dot center, say 15. So within the length of 15, it will be centered. And the same thing I can do for the other two as well. And now let's run this. See, now it looks much more even. You can literally play around with this endlessly, trying to make the user interface. But remember, main thing, the functionality is taken care of. That's it. Bye.